How are you doing?
Really good, thanks. Yeah, really good.
You're actually feeling the impact that's happening, which then allows you to actually respond to that.
Yeah, definitely more in touch now.
I don't underestimate how much work and effort you've put in to get to this point. And so well done for putting the work in. There's no guarantee it's a perfect straight line from here, but you've done the hard bit.
I can't actually believe that I'm at the stage now where I can start bouncing the boundaries. You can recover. It is possible.
Welcome to this week's episode of In Therapy with me, Alex Howard. And this week we're catching up with Sally. And one of the things that I've been really excited about with sharing this series is not just showing the challenges and the difficulties of the therapeutic journey, but also you guys sharing in people's moments of breakthrough, of feeling like that life is really starting to change and to move forwards. And this week's episode with Sally is one of those. We're really hearing about how much more she's able to do, how much more energy she's got, but also some of the challenges that come along with that. How do you do what I call bounce the boundaries? How do you expand your capacity in such a way that protects the progress that you've made? So that's what we're exploring this week. And here is Sally.
Hello. Just thought I'd give you a quick update on what I'm doing today. Today's my birthday, 37 today. Me and my husband David have come out to Stowe, which is like a big formal garden and stately home and stuff. So we brought Phoebe. I'm feeling like I've got energy. And yeah, just enjoying my birthday really. Phoebes loves her tea. The drive here was about 45 minutes, so what I thought was 6 months ago I wouldn't have done this because the drive here would have been too long and would have really taken it out of me. So I thought that that was quite positive, and Phoebe's joined me again. So I'll say goodbye now. Enjoy lockdown, everyone.
How are you doing?
Yeah, really good, thanks.
Yeah?
Yeah, really good. I haven't had any symptoms for ages, which is brilliant, but I'm not doing anything. So I'm thinking, because I've been furloughed from work, obviously, so I'm thinking what's going to happen when I eventually do go back to work. Don't get me wrong, I'm thoroughly enjoying myself on furlough, just doing nothing, really. Been reading, sitting in the garden, enjoying the nice weather, doing a bit of cooking. So yeah, it's lovely. If I didn't have to work, it'd be amazing.
And you were saying to me in your email that also you've been sleeping a lot more. Like, has that settled, or just kind of talk to me about that?
Yeah, that's settled now. So that was probably the third week. So I was sick for a week, then I tried to do a bit too much with my time off, and then the third week, I was sleeping more. But now we're in the fourth week. Yeah, it's good. It's just really good. No symptoms.
I mean, that sleeping more is actually, I think, a good sign, because it's a sign your body was really going into a state of deep rest, and it's actually often in that you're sort of building up the energy reserves and the kind of resilience that perhaps wasn't there as much as it might have been sort of previously. So I think that's going to have been a positive thing. But even up until being furloughed, it sounds like they'd still just kind of run me through how you were doing sort of up until that point, because it sounds like there was still a continuation in terms of the progress.
So I think I probably had 2 weeks at work, maybe, and symptoms were just quite stable. I was pacing well and I wasn't having any crashes. And then one of my bosses coughed on me, and I'm blaming her completely for getting this cold. So I had this. It's the first proper cold I've had since getting chronic fatigue, and it really wiped me out. It was horrendous. Like one day I was crying because I felt so ill. So yeah, it really wiped me out. And probably luckily, one of the bosses said it could be COVID, but we don't know. So why don't you follow the protocol that we've got and have a week off, like 7 days. Yeah, so I just completely rested. There was 2 or 3 days, well, probably 3 days I didn't take the dog out. And that is, yeah, like I said in my email, that's when you know I'm poorly, because I have to take my dog. But what I've been noticing more recently is we're really lucky where we are. We've got like a country park that we can just walk to. And there's a bit of an incline on the way back that we found. And what I've found now is that I'm feeling the tiredness in my legs rather than the chronic fatigue tiredness. Like, as you know, I get the pain in my back first of all, and I'm not getting that. I'm actually feeling proper fatigue in my legs. You know, that lactic acid sort of thing.
So it's almost like it's a deconditioning stroke, like physical muscle kind of weakness, as opposed to just not having the fuel to sort of put there in the first place.
Yeah, definitely. And I was like, I tried to explain it to my husband, and I was like, you're probably going to think I'm really balmy, but it's different. It's yeah, like you say, actual muscle tiredness rather than the chronic fatigue tiredness. So,
which sounds entirely reasonable, given that those muscles haven't been used that much over a period of time. And I think it's where it sort of feels like you probably are is that sort of transition point from someone with chronic fatigue who's managing recovery well to somebody that doesn't have chronic fatigue, that is anymore, that's well, that is now building up fitness and energy reserves and resilience. And like, it feels like perhaps you're a little bit of a foot in both camps, and you're sort of moving a bit backwards and forwards. But it certainly sounds to me like there's a significant sort of stage 3 transition that's sort of happening here.
That's exciting. Really exciting.
Is that how it feels to you?
I think so, yeah, because obviously I'm not going to work, so I haven't got the same level of activity that I'm doing. But I'm still pacing and listening to my body, but I'm able to do more while still pacing, if that makes sense. So I can, come home after walking the dog and empty the dishwasher and go upstairs, whereas before I'd like sit down and then about half an hour make a cup of tea or something like that. I'd have to literally pace everything. Yeah. Whereas now I can do a few things, but still listening to my body.
Yeah. Have you had any points where you've really done too much and you've really sort of kind of symptoms have really flared, or not really in the last few weeks?
No, not at all. And I'm sort of thinking, what can I do more to bounce the boundaries? Because I know you said before that having crashes is good because then you know where your limits are. So I don't know how. I mean, it's obviously limited now with what I can do because we're in lockdown. But yeah, what sort of things am I able to do? I don't know.
So at least recently you haven't been hitting limits then, which is great, because it sounds like you are doing less, but it also sounds like that your capacity is that much more that you're sort of not bouncing on those edges. How far are you walking when you walk the dogs at the moment? Obviously only once a day, but how?
yeah. Actually, I saw a lady the other day, and the dog was sniffing everything, and we were walking down a path waiting for her to go. And I said, "Oh, he's making best use out of his one walk." And she said, "He'd go twice." I thought, well, we don't. We only go once. So it's about an hour, but there's this place that's like at the reservoir, and there's literally nobody about when we go in the morning. So we have a little sit down. We shouldn't do that, but we should have a sit down.
Down in the park. Oh my goodness. I won't be able to put this out on the video because the might call the police.
Better get Oliver to edit that bit out. So yeah, it's about an hour that we're out. I don't know, maybe a couple of miles, 2.5 miles, something like that.
But that's consistent every day.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, really good. Yeah. So I don't know what to do, because how do I bounce boundaries in this current situation?
Yeah. So you could walk further. So one way to do it is walk further. The other way is you could go twice a day. So that's it. Unofficial advice. But I think, at this point, it is just sort of challenging your capacity in terms of physically, how much you're doing. And exercises. The other thing you could do is you could start bringing in some other forms of exercise. I don't know if you're doing any yoga or anything like that.
Yeah, I did that in the week where I tried to do too many things, because I thought, I'm not working, I need to do loads of things. The achiever was like, you're not doing enough. So yeah, I'd quite like to get into that properly. Yeah, good.
So, if you're walking in the morning, maybe kind of at some point later in the day, you start, because the yoga will give you something different to walking. Like walking will obviously give you some kind of muscle strength back, and it'll give you some cardiovascular fitness. But yoga will also work on some of the muscular fitness, and also just kind of making things move and flow better in your body. So beyond just growing your physical capacity, there's a different, I always think about it, you've got your sort of aerobic style fitness, like you're walking, you're running, you're swimming. You've got your sort of stretching and core strength stretching, like your Pilates and your yoga and that sort of thing. And then you've got your sort of more weight bearing stuff and high intensity stuff. And ideally, you want to be able to do a bit of all three of those at different points in the week, because they all give something different to the body. But you obviously want to build up your capacity gradually and gently.
Yeah, definitely. I did years ago now the couch to 5K, and then I did the bridge to 10K. I would at some point like to get back into jogging, but I'm a bit scared to do that, because that's really tough. So.
Well, the way to do that gently would be initially to just walk faster, and then to have, when you're of your walk, jog 30 seconds a day until maybe one day, and then don't for a couple of days and see how you are. And then see if you can run 30 seconds of your walk each day, then a minute, and then just gradually build up like that. So it's not that you go from walking to running, it's that you just start to introduce, and you can see how your nervous system responds, because it might be that your system immediately goes into a stress response because it's too intense, or it might be that actually you feel even more calm on the other side, because that kind of release of energy actually then allows things to settle. You just don't know really until you experiment.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be good if I could try that. Yeah.
In terms of sort of how you're feeling the rest of the day, I mean, as you start to get towards the end of the furlough, one of the things that you could do is just sort of put in place some work hours, even if you're doing non-work stuff, just so you kind of get a bit more into the sort of routine and structure. But at the moment, I think it's great to just in a sense, one of the things that I'm sort of mindful of is that in the whole time that you've been ill, your body never really had a chance to rest, and you're sort of doing it a bit back to front in a sense. The fact that it is getting that chance now, I think it's great. And I think you were already on the path you needed to be on, but I was mindful of the fact that you'd never really had the chance to build up some of those reserves, and this really gives you a chance to build the reserves that will give you the resilience to have a kind of a more solid trajectory, let's say, through the rest of the path.
Yeah, that's why I was like, I'm going to ask to be furloughed, because I'm never ever going to get this opportunity again. Hopefully, I'm not going to be out of work in the future, but to be able to still function and get some pay, like it's an amazing opportunity. So I was like, can I have it, please?
Yeah, well done for putting. I remember reading your email. That was quite a big thing to put yourself forward for that, and I think that was absolutely the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And I think particularly in the sort of work that you do, as soon as things go back to normal, you're going to find that the practice is going to be as busy as it's ever been, if not busier, for all the things that didn't get done in the period of time that it's just been emergency stuff. So
Yeah.
I don't think you need to have, I don't know all the details, but I would assume you don't need to have a background anxiety that you're going to go back and suddenly find that there's not a job, because it's a sort of industry that doesn't suddenly have a drop in demand on the other side.
No, I'm in constant contact with the people at work, so yeah, it's going to be a massive backlog of stuff that they have to get through. So I haven't really got too much of a worry. But yeah, it's very nice to not be at work. Yeah. I feel really guilty that I'm like really loving it. But like you say, I've never had this opportunity to fully rest.
Yeah.
So nice.
It's great. I think it's great. And, life works in funny ways. And, yes, there are people right now who are in very, very difficult situations, but it doesn't mean the rest of the world has to feel bad because they are. It's like you squashing your joy doesn't serve others that are in very difficult situations. What you can do is take the joy and the pleasure at this chapter in your life. It wasn't there in some previous chapters. So it's your chance to enjoy the fact that life is flowing in a way that feels good.
Yeah, it's been brilliant.
I'm not encouraging you to be reckless, but I am not saying be reckless, but I think it is okay to take some risks, and there are still going to be limits, and some of those limits are simply just going to be fitness and deconditioning limits, and other limits probably will still be the fact that your body is still recovering. But it's good to sort of find those limits, and one of the things that's quite often, but not always the case at the stage that you're at, is there's something like, let's say you one day you went for 2 walks in a day, just for an example. You walked an hour in the morning, an hour in the afternoon, and you might find that every 3 or 4 days that you can do that. But you might find if you start doing it every day that it's the frequency of the activity, not the actual activity, for example, that becomes a problem. So one of the things that people sort of have to feel into at this point is that you might find that you bounce the boundaries and you can do something, but then if you start trying to do it all the time, that you still need a bit of recovery time. And that recovery time will reduce as your body gets more resilient and more able to do those things. So yeah, just be sort of mindful of that as well.
Okay. Cool. That makes sense.
Any other questions?
No, that was it. Thank you.
Good. Well, I'm super pleased with how things are going. And I think keep doing what you're doing. And give yourself permission to enjoy what's happening as well. I mean, it is like a very rare moment in one's life that you're being paid to be at home and listen to your body and rest. And I think you'd absolutely deserve it. There's no reason you should be feeling guilty or bad. It's like, in an ideal world, you would have had this at the beginning of what's happening, but the fact you're getting it now is also great.
Thanks, Alex. Thank you.
You're really welcome. Keep going. And also just how has it been watching, because another episode came out yesterday, I think. I don't know if you had a chance to see it yet, but yeah. Has it been okay watching the episodes and
it has.
Out there?
Yeah, it's been fine. Obviously, I still haven't told anybody that they're there. Yeah. But yeah, it's good because we cover so much, and it's good to hear stuff again. And then I sort of did think, maybe I do need to do a bit more with emotions, but nothing's really come up. But when it has come up, I've done stuff with it. So yeah, it's been good. Yeah, they look brilliant.
No, Oliver's done a great job, and I have to say, I'm relieved as well. Like I wasn't like overly worried, but I felt quite sensitive to you and Lauren, who obviously put them out so far, about how it would be to see it. And I spoke to Lauren this morning, and sort of similarly, she's been like, it was really helpful to watch them back and to be, I don't remember half of what you said, but clearly you did say it because I can see it on camera. It's a really vulnerable thing that you guys are doing. So I'm really pleased that it's been okay to watch it back. And hopefully you see there's been tons and tons of positive comments as well.
Yeah, I have. I've been looking like to see what people have been saying. But yeah, everyone's been really, really nice, haven't they? So
I've not had to delete anything or ban anyone. I'm a bit disappointed about it because I was looking forward to going in there and being a protective sort of big brother. And sort of, it's like, right, you're off my YouTube channel.
Good, yeah.
So. Good. All right. Well, nice to catch up, and just keep doing what you're doing, Sally. I'm really pleased.
Yeah, will do. Thanks so much, Alex.
Brilliant. Take care. Thanks. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
Hello. So had a session with Alex a couple of days ago, and I knew I would get there, but you kind of think, is it going to happen for me? When is it going to happen? And yeah, I've gone through 2 to 3 weeks with no symptoms at all. Being off work on furlough has been amazing for me. Unfortunately, that's changed, and I'm going to work now for hopefully just 2 weeks, but I'm being asked to work full-time hours, so 6 hours at the practice and 2 at home. I'm not going to lie, I'm really scared. Going from 2 to 3 weeks of no symptoms at all, I'm really trying hard not to let my thoughts about everything run away with me, because I know that will bring on my symptoms in itself. I'm really worried about getting coronavirus and being really poorly or worse with that, so I'm trying to sort of calm myself down about that as well. But I am trying to remember all the things that I've learnt so far and all the tools that I've got, and I just need to do them as much as I can during work and try and get a couple of breaks in there. But yeah, I'm not going to lie, I am really quite scared that my symptoms are all going to come back and I'm going to be unwell again. So yeah, wish me luck. I will keep you updated with how it goes. Yeah, bye.
Hope you enjoyed this week's episode of In Therapy. I'd love to hear your thoughts, your reflections, your questions. As always, please do comment below the video. I'd love to hear how this week's session impacted upon you. Please do also like the video. Please do subscribe to my YouTube channel, click the notification bell. These things, they really do help. It shows YouTube you're enjoying this content. YouTube then shows the content to more people. And next week, we're going to be catching up with Hannah again. We're going to be exploring more about how to work with the inner critic. And one of the things that happens is that we tend to project our inner critic onto other people, and then it starts to come back at us in all kinds of different ways. And seeing that and getting free from that can be really important. So that's coming up next week here on In Therapy.
I feel like I've got a lot more awareness about stuff since we last spoke. I think I've maybe realised how insecure I am still with myself and a certain relationship.
Part of what is happening here is there is a sort of projecting of your inner critic onto others.
It's not the real thing. It's not what's actually happening. It's all what I'm doing.
You're recreating that reality moment to moment by the way that it's being projected.